It's another morning in Madrid and people are going through their diurnal lives. Salesperson Sergio is calling a customer to tell them about his rearmost wares. Fugitive Israel is demurred out by the police for sleeping on the thoroughfares again. Laying a dick, Trini asks the grocer to put moments charges on her bill. And youthful Elena is telling her friend on the phone about the date she's going on with a Joe she met online. When Elena's phone runs out of battery, she decides to enter a bar to have a coffee and ask if Hansatter may have a bowl he can advance her. Right behind her, a coughing sick man also enters the bar and rushes to the restroom, making proprietor Amparo angry because people are always using her bar's restroom without buying anything. Israel suddenly barges in as well because he knows Amparo will feed him for free, and his constant, loudly quoting of the Bible is an annoyance for everyone there, including an impatient bank clerk, a street cleaner, and former Bobby Andres. But it does not feel to bother Nacho because he has his headphones on. Sergio and Trini come into the bar, and Trini is ready to spend all the plutocrat she has left on the bar's niche machine. When the bank clerk gets tired of staying for his breakfast, he decides to leave without eating, but as soon as he steps outdoors, he is shot. Everyone in the thoroughfares runs down and all the people in the bar fear, although it takes Nacho a moment to catch on to what is going on because he did not hear the projectile. There is no signal inside the bar, meaning they cannot call the police, so the street cleaner decides to go out anyway. Unfortunately, while he is checking on the bank clerk, he is shot as well. Israel laughs and continues to quote the Bible as the others fear and throw themselves on the bottom just in case. In fact, Israel wants to leave since he has church moment, but Amparo convinces him to stay by offering him further food and promising to talk to the clerk laterally. Trini precisely reaches for the remote and turns on the television, but as she surfs through the channels, the group notices commodity veritably weird. Nothing is talking about the deaths that just happened in the middle of the thoroughfares of Madrid, which is incredibly suspicious. While everyone argues about it, Trini looks outside and finds commodity indeed more suspicious. The bodies are gone, and there is not indeed a drop of blood left. They do not understand why notoriety came by to pick up the bodies but did not check on them, and the group tries to keep itself busy by watching television or drooling while staying for help. Satter begins throwing crazy propositions around, wondering if this is a dream or if they've been kidnapped by aliens or indeed the government. After Amparo slaps him to make him see sense, the group starts going over the data. Elena thinks perhaps the two guys were connected, but it does not sound likely for a street cleaner and a bank clerk. Sergio, on the other hand, realizes that perhaps it's not a miscreant who's doing the firing, it's the police. They may have entered a tip-off saying an important miscreant is inside the bar, but they do not know who it's, so they shoot anyone that comes out. However, if it's someone veritably dangerous like a terrorist carrying a bomb, they cannot risk letting them out. It would explain why the area has been vacated and why the bobbies are bursting in to catch them. As everyone discusses this proposition, Nacho decides to hide his bag before they find it suspicious, but he is caught red-handed. Sergio and Andres hold Nacho while Satter grabs the bag, but he does not dare to open it. Amparo takes it from him and opens it herself, chancing a bunch of clothes and a hard fragment. Nacho swears it's just work lines, but as another argument begins over what to do with it, Elena takes it, throws it on the bottom, and constantly weighs on it until it's destroyed. Also, she calls everyone babies for obsessing over dumb theories. However, Nacho is angry that he was set up suspicious just because of his beard and because he ignored the shot, therefore he points at Sergio's wallet to make the same blameworthiness. Amparo takes the wallet and Sergio tries to get it back, causing Satter jump in to defend his employer, and Sergio hits him rather. Startled, Andres takes out a gun to make him stop, and everyone is so shocked that Israel takes the chance to steal the wallet. After quoting the Bible again, he opens it only to reveal a bunch of lingerie. That is the product Sergio sells. At that moment, a weird noise comes from the restroom. They had forgotten about the sick man. The door is locked, so Andres shoots it to open it, and they find the man on the bottom fraudulent over the grunt with bleeding cognizance and a weird-looking hype coming to him. Suddenly, another noise gets their attention, this time coming from the thoroughfares. It's a truck carrying special masked agents that ignore the group's cries for help and, rather, pile up tires outside the bar to also start a fire. This fire lets out a heavy, dark bank that appears on television. The news anchor addresses about a big fire in the middle of Madrid, so the group realizes this has been started by the government to cover up the killings. The sick man, also comes out of the restroom in a terrible condition. He drops his phone and tells them, "Don't touch me," before he falls to the bottom and dies. Nacho grabs the man's phone, and by looking at the filmland, they find out he belonged to the service and used to work in Africa. The filmland also show a group of men wearing hazmat suits. Now everything it's clear this man has brought a deadly complaint with him. That is why the area has been vacated and anyone from the bar is shot most probably. All of them are formerly infected, and the government is covering it all up, allowing they're going to die. Everyone goes back to trying to keep themselves busy while staying, and Israel prepares the sick man for burial prayers. Elena and Nacho have the sick man's phone, which only has 10% battery left, and they decide to try to find a signal. Nacho manages to do it by standing on a president near an advanced part of the bar ceiling. So he calls a colleague to explain the television is lying. Allowing Nacho's not being critical enough, Satter takes the phone from him and begins desperately yelling for help, which makes the colleague suppose it's a knavery and hang up. Nacho does not suppose there is enough battery left for another call, and the two men begin fighting over the phone until the president breaks and they fall, pushing everyone back in the process. This makes Trini hit the niche machine and hit jackpot, getting it to expel a bunch of coins that Israel begins picking up. Andres wants a turn with the phone next, but Amparo warns him not to touch it because it used to belong to the sick man. In fact, Amparo wants everyone that touched the sick man to stay down from her. Andres and Sergio agree with her, allowing preventives should be taken, so they run down from the group that did touch him to hide with Amparo behind the counter. Elena thinks this is ridiculous because they have been together for hours now, and they have all touched each other, but the triad is firm on their decision. In fact, Andres threatens them with his gun to make them go down the stockroom and take the sick man's body with them. Nacho does not want to go but changes his mind when Andres shoots the niche machine to show how serious he is being. Israel is taking his sweet time as well, too busy quoting the Bible. Therefore Amparo convinces him to go by giving him 2 bottles of alcohol. Inside the dirty old stockroom, the group exchanges to pass the time, but Trini is claustrophobic and starts to horrify. She climbs the stairs and begins hitting the door to no mileage, and in her hopeless flailing, she accidentally hits a box of bottles, breaking them. Nacho notices that there is not a pool of liquid forming, which means there must be a drain that they managed to find after moving some stuff away. After they remove the lid, they discover it's connected to the seamsters and not veritably deep, so Israel levies to go down there. He takes off his clothes and leaves his bag of coins behind before covering his body with oil. Also, he attempts to go down the drain. No matter how hard the others help him by pushing, however, the space is too narrow for Israel and now he is wedged. Suddenly, they hear noises coming from upstairs. It seems a group of people has entered the bar and is shooting Amparo, Andres, and Sergio. Also, they notice the temperature getting warmer and bank coming from the door. A fire has been started inside the bar to disinfect it. At this rate, they'll suffocate soon, so Elena, Nacho, and Satter put their strength together to get Israel out of the drain in order to allow air to come in from the seamsters. Trini's going through another anxiety attack and tries to open the door, getting her hands burnt in the process. They cover her becks with oil painting and wrap her hands with restroom paper while staying for effects to calm down. Once they do not hear any further noises upstairs, Nacho opens the door with a broom and finds the burnt bar but no sign of the bodies. The door has been taped out by the agents, meaning they cannot see what is going on outside. The group decides to come out of the stockroom and Nacho finds Andres' gun, so he hides it in his pants. Indeed, if the warm essence burns his skin. Trini wants to go outdoors and ask for help, but Nacho reminds her that revealing their presence will only get them killed. None of them feel sick, which makes Nacho suppose it's just a matter of staying hidden for many days until the incident is forgotten. After all, there's plenitude to eat and drink in the stockroom. An unforeseen noise startles everyone, but there's nothing to worry about. It's just the sick man's phone, which is getting a bunch of dispatches. Elena checks them out and discovers a friend is checking on the Joe to see if he is okay. It seems the man had had a fever for days. He was also apprehensive that he was being followed. He entered the bar looking for a restroom in order to fit himself in secret because he'd stolen some kind of experimental serum. It did not work on this man, but to be fair, he'd been sick for a while. In discrepancy, nothing in the group has symptoms yet, so there is a chance it may work for them. At that moment, the phone begins ringing. The person from the textbook is now calling. Nacho is not sure if they should answer because it may be a trap, and it takes him such a long time to decide that the phone's battery runs out. Satter runs upstairs to see if he can find a bowl that fits when Elena remembers commodity, one of the dispatches, said commodity about 4 boluses left. The group checks the body and finds nothing, which gets them to rush to the restroom next. Israel gets there first, finds the box with the other 4 hypes, and begins singing when he realizes he has power over the group now. There are only 4 boluses for 5 people, and while the group discusses how to do, Israel injects himself with one, suspecting that they'd bounce out the vagrant. Nacho takes out the gun but does not shoot because Elena points out they'll be heard by the bobbies outdoors. Rather, he jumps on Israel to beat him up. Israel manages to overpower him and gains control of the gun, so when Satter tries to recoup the hypes, Israel hits him and the box falls into the stockroom. Trini rushes downward and picks it up, but because of her bandaged hands, she lacks collaboration and accidentally drops the box in the seamsters. Someone thinner requirements to go through the hole, meaning their only option is Elena. After taking off her clothes and covering her body with oil painting, Elena gets into the hole. Trying to go down hurts her shanks and makes her bleed, but the group keeps pushing until she goes through and falls into the dirty water. It does not take her long to recover the box of hypes, but she refuses to tie it to the line Nacho is lowering because she knows they'll use them all and leave her with nothing. Elena wants to be better than them, so she will not be using one on herself either, but if the others want to have a proper discussion about this, they'll have to come down too. Elena goes exploring while the group uses a piece of pipe to make the hole bigger. After many turns, Elena finds a storm drain and takes a look after hiding the hypes in a hole in the wall. On the thoroughfares, special agents and bobbies are still girding the area and taking care of the bodies they recaptured from the bar. Also, Elena goes back to the stockroom hole, where she finds the men have formerly come through and are now helping Trini, whose flailing makes everyone fall into the water. Satter and Trini get out all right, but Nacho takes the chance to jump on Israel to try to recover the gun. A fight ensues aquatic, and after many shots are fired, Nacho comes out victorious, saying it was Israel that did the firing and faded in the water after Nacho took the gun from him. The group thinks Nacho killed Israel, who's acting further and further violent by the alternate. Tired of everyone acting crazy, Elena requests Nacho to throw down the gun if he wants her to take them to the hypes. Rather of doing as she says, Nacho threatens to kill Satter. Now Elena has no choice but to take them to the wall from earlier. On their way there, Trini makes use of the bag with coins she took from Israel before and drops coins on the ground so they can find their way back. When they reach a dark lair, Trini cries out, pretending that Satter is pushing her when it's actually her pushing him into the water. Also, she pretends to try to help him out when in verity, she's grabbing his head and keeping him down to drown him. Nacho fires a shot to get some light and sees what Trini is doing, so he snappily jumps into the water to help Satter out. Also, they move to a lair with further light while keeping Trini at gunpoint, but Nacho does not dare to shoot her. Trini confesses she does not like to be seen, and she grabs the gun, taking it around the corner in order to end effects herself. The remaining triad finds the hypes and divides them among them, but before they can do anything, they hear the sound of coins being tossed. They go to see what is going on and find Trini's body with coins over her eyes. This turns out to be a trap because while they are detracted by Trini, Israel approaches them from before and kills Satter. Also, he chases after Elena and Nacho, who run through the coverts until they find a set of stairs that can take them outdoors. As they climb up, Elena passages and loses her hype, and Nacho is seized by Israel. Seeing as there is no escape for him, Nacho gives Elena his hype and lets go of the stairs, making both men fall and die. Crying, Elena injects herself, also pushes the manhole lid at the end of the stairs until she manages to move it and get out. She finds herself on the other side of the constraint zone, so there are people everyone gaping at the state of her aesthetics. A man tries to ask if she's all right and a woman gives her a jacket, but Elena does not pay attention. She just wanders down with a dazed look on her face. She's incredibly lost in her own mind and does not notice that she walks by the Joe she was supposed to have a date with. He indeed calls her name, but Elena just keeps moving forward. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.